please come forward and really help us out as we fill this roll. Here in the back, folding chairs. Thank you.
Wait till 11, just because people are so.
My God, I pray that these things never end. The sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart, the sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart.
Thank you so much to Dale Kaufman for helping us and leading us in the musical worship this morning, helping us add song to this service. Dale knew Stuart well and has known the entire family, so it's a fitting tribute to have her here, a real sign of the legacy within this community, of the importance of Darlene and Stuart to Temple Beth El. The psalmists offer in the words of Psalm 21, Esa el einai el harim me'ayin yavo ezri. It says, I lift my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come? In times of trouble, we often look for sources of strength. And like this speaker in this psalm, who finds comfort in the mountains ahead of him. Indeed, there are people in our lives who are like those mountains, seemingly eternal, unshakable, strong. Stuart Schwartz was one of those mountains, a man of strength and equanimity, a devoted husband and father, and father-in-law and grandfather and mentor and friend. It seems unthinkable that one of those mountains is gone, because mountains are supposed to last forever. So now when we lift our eyes to those mountains, one of them is missing. And so we ask, Me'ayin yavo ezri, from where will our help come? And the psalmist, the author of that poem, says, Mezri me'im Adonai, my help comes from the Eternal One, maker of heaven and earth. This morning we add to the psalmist's words, our help comes from the embrace of loved ones and community. And so together we gather around Stuart's family, offering them our strength and comfort as we say goodbye to Stuart and honor his life today. The words of Ralph Waldo Emerson. To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. We'll turn to the words of Psalm 23 on the front of the program. Dale will offer the words in Hebrew, and then we'll read together in English.
Adonai roi lo echsa binote yarvetzeni amenu uchot yehanaleni nafshi ashovev yancheni v'maglit tzedek leman shemo gam ki elech b'ker amavet lo ira kitalo madin shivtecha umishamtecha hemayananuni taroch lafanai shulchan neged sororai deshanta veshamen roshi kisir vaya ach tov v'chesed yidarfuni kol yimei chayai v'shavti miveit Adonai re'orech yamim.
Join with me. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. You turn to the next page. We read the words of Ecclesiastes. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. Read with me. a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant, a time to harvest, a time to tear down, a time to build up, a time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to grieve, a time to dance, a time to embrace, a time to stand alone, a time to seek, a time to lose, a time to hold on, and a time to let go, a time to rend, a time to mend, a time to keep silence, and a time to speak. It is our time to speak, as the words of Ecclesiastes say. And certainly, it is strange for us to be here today, to say goodbye to Stuart. For many, his passing came as quite a shock. We didn't realize he was so sick. Even though there had been some health challenges of late, we didn't realize the end was close. But those final days were true to Stuart. He faced them just as he faced most everything, with such strength and humor and resilience. The pain of this moment seems almost too much to bear. Loss, yes, but this loss? Mourning, yes, but now? Grief so hard to come by. There are few sources of comfort other than the presence of family and friends who have come together this morning to show how deeply they have been impacted by the quality of this unique and remarkable person. It's the tragic news of Stuart's death that brings us together today, but it's the quality of his life that made us want to be here. We know we honor him best by focusing less on the circumstances of those final days and more by sharing stories of what he meant to each of us. Many of you know the privilege it was to be his friend, to be his colleague, to be his family member. Wherever his path touched you, you knew where you were in the presence of someone special. This morning, our hearts are heavy with sorrow because Stuart mattered. He mattered deeply to his family, to his friends, and to the many lives he touched. And yet we take comfort in each other, in memory, and in tradition. Jewish tradition, we do not say that we bury the person, only the body, because the soul, the neshama, is eternal, a spark that does not die. And Stuart was that spark, bright, curious, funny, caring, uniquely and unmistakably him. And on some level, he was a miracle right from birth. His parents, Bertha and Saul, were both older. Bertha had had 5 miscarriages before Stuart was born that fall of 1945 in Milwaukee. He was an only child, and Saul worked for Seagram's, and Bertha was a homemaker, raising Stuart on what he would come to reflect on as a pretty idyllic childhood. Being an only child is big responsibility, especially when it comes to choosing a partner. There's a lot of pressure that goes into that decision. Pretty quickly, it seems, Bertha and Saul sat Stuart down to ask about this new person he was seeing. Darlene, an undergrad at UW, a Jewish girl, Reformed, but that was okay, also from Milwaukee. They said to him, "I hope you have good intentions for her." He said, "I think she's the one." And from that moment forward, they were barely apart. Darlene told me yesterday that Bertha and Saul treated her like she was their daughter. My hunch is, and my hunch this might be true for many of you out there as well, Stuart's choice of Darlene to them was the best decision he ever made. They both finished school here in Madison, and they married 53 years ago. After law school, Stuart worked for the Wisconsin Indian Legal Services, helping to work for the tribes of northern Wisconsin. Eventually, he joined the Dane County Probate Court, becoming a judicial court commissioner, and as you know, in 1992 was elected to the Dane County Circuit Court, a position he held until he retired in 2009. He loved his work, It filled him with deep civic pride. We have a responsibility to others. Treat each person with integrity. Make a difference in people's lives. Care about the fabric of your community. Darlene told me that he would get recognized all over Madison. People would come up to him at a restaurant, or if they were on a walk, or even by the mechanic, and told them how a person well. He didn't care who you are or what role you played. People were treated with dignity. They raised their kids here in Madison, Jeff and Debbie, who both told me they felt also that they had an idyllic upbringing. He coached Little League and watched soccer games. He made sure he was home for dinner, spending time with his family before offering continued work in his office at night, writing a decision. He loved that Darlene gave back to her community as well, through her work at JSS, or even eventually here at Bethel. He served on many boards, including the board of this synagogue. He served with integrity. I've heard from so many people over the past few days, whether over email or on a phone call, about how he left a mark on them. Darlene and Stuart just picked up people. They made deep and long-lasting friends here in Madison, specifically close to so many of you here today. Some of you were in his poker group. He's the only person I've ever heard of who played more poker here in Madison than they did in Las Vegas. They traveled together often, an important cruise for Darlene's 40th birthday. They rooted for the Packers and the Badgers and the other Wisconsin sports team. Most of all, they were here in it together, Darlene and Stuart. While they loved Madison, Stuart really didn't want to retire too late. He wanted to keep his fastball. And eventually the warmer climates of Nevada called. They settled there first as snowbirds and eventually full-time. They kept up with their friends here and were especially fond of their growing family, welcoming Deborah and John, and then 4 terrific grandsons. Oh, how he loved his grandchildren. Jacob and Benjamin, Levi and Judah, delighting in each of you and your wonderful achievements. Perhaps what we'll miss most is Stuart's presence, his reliability, his humor, his wisdom, his ability to make each person feel warm and cared for. So to Debbie and Jeff and Darlene, what words can we offer you to make you feel better? What words should we avoid not to make you feel worse? And the truth is there are no adequate words with which to try to mitigate the pain or to console the inconsolable. This is why we come together in deepest despair, and we acknowledge that words might be of little help. Perhaps our just being here expresses a sentiment which goes beyond words. So we are here in our silence. We are here next to you in relationship, as Stuart was for so many. But the best of Stuart, his care for others and devotion to family and the loving nature all live on in this beautiful family and the amazing circle of friends he leaves behind. You each carry a spark of his spirit with you, and is a spark that death does not extinguish. So even though our hearts are heavy with loss, we smile as we remember Stuart Schwartz, a man who loved life and tried to live it to its fullest. Zichrona livracha. May his memory always bring joy to those who knew and loved him. Words from the poet Henry Scott Holland. Death is nothing at all. I've only slipped away into the next room. I am I and you are you. Whatever we were to each other, that we are still. Call me by my old familiar name. Speak to me in the same easy way which you always did. Put no difference into your tone. Wear no forced air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as we always laughed at the little jokes we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken without effect, without the shadow of a ghost on it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is absolutely unbroken continuity. Why should I be out of mind? Because I am out of sight. I am just waiting for you, for an interval somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well. It's a delight to invite forward Debbie and Jeff to come together to offer eulogies for their father.
I recently read a quote about striving for presence rather than perfection. While in my eyes, my dad was about as close to perfect as can exist, there is no doubt in my mind and heart that he was always present. My dad had many professional responsibilities and commitments, and hobbies, like reading, bowling, and watching sports, yet he was always there for me. Whether he was cheering me on at a soccer game, taking photographs at a high school dance, listening, or offering advice, my dad had the amazing ability to be fully present. He was quick to smile, a superb joke teller, a believer in fairness and justice, and an eloquent speaker who shared his intellect with carefully chosen words, compassion, and respect. I always admired how people would gravitate towards my dad, as he exuded confidence and warmth. He can set you at ease and remember details of conversations and stories that immediately make you feel heard and seen. In addition to his jovial demeanor and teddy bear physique, my dad was also a talented writer. When I was given an assignment to write a book report in high school, and I couldn't find the words to write the conclusion, my dad stepped in and summarized my ideas and wrapped up the paper. Even though he hadn't read the book, he was ever present and eager to help. As you may have predicted, I received an A on the paper. And the only feedback given was that I had written a truly exceptional conclusion. Using his gift of words, my dad would write letters to my brother and I to celebrate milestone birthdays and to share his hopes and dreams for us. He would recall anecdotes from our childhood, voice his pride in who we are and who we continue to be, and express his unconditional love and support. His words, his wit, and his wisdom were infused in these notes and will always be treasured. My older brother, Jeff, another talented writer in the Schwartz household, gave my dad a gift in which he was provided questions and prompts to guide my father to write a memoir. I started to reread this book when my father first became sick, and it was yet another example of how he will always be present. In his memoir, he penned how he never sought fame or fortune, but instead focused on giving back to the world, loving deeply, dancing freely, laughing heartily, and indulging his sweet tooth. His family, including his grandchildren, were his proudest achievement. Anyone lucky enough to be a part of my dad's orbit knows that your life was enhanced from having him be a part of your journeys. He will leave behind a legacy of almost near perfection, and I know that his presence will be felt in our hearts, souls, and memories for the rest of our lives.
Thank you, Rabbi and Dale, for your lovely words and music today, and the support and grace that you've extended to our family. This is an amazing assembly, and as my sister was reading, I just took a moment to look around the room. It's an incredible testament to my dad, and on behalf of the Schwartzes and Carbonis, we are honored and grateful that you are all here today. My dad would have been very touched. Looking at all of you, I see people from all facets of our lives. You may have been connected to my father as a longtime friend from Milwaukee, his fraternity or law school here at UW-Madison, or perhaps you're an esteemed member of the Madison Philosophical Society, the regular poker group that my dad played in for decades. I was happy to learn that they are playing tomorrow, and he would love that. And I appreciate the tribute and the kind words that you shared with me this morning. In addition to my family and my sister's family who are here with us today, I know we also have many family members and friends watching via live stream. And I wanted to acknowledge them all as well. We appreciate you joining us from wherever you are to honor my dad. Many of you here today are colleagues from the legal sphere who worked with my father in varying capacities over the years, and I know he would be especially touched by your presence here today. He loved his work and was very proud of his career, not just of his accomplishments, to be clear, but more proud of the impact that he made alongside many of you through his work in Dane County and more broadly across the state. I see many Temple community members here today and lifetime family friends, and your support has meant the world to us, especially to my mom these past few weeks. Whether you knew my dad well, or you're here today in support of my mom, my sister, or myself, words cannot convey our gratitude for your presence here today. While my dad chose to focus his obituary on his career, and yes, being the organized Virgo that he was, unbeknownst to me, he did draft his own obituary in January, making it very easy for our family to put the finishing touches on. You all know that my father was so much more than his remarkable career and his varied accomplishments. Even though in many ways he defined himself by his work, my dad wore many hats beyond court commissioner and judge. For many in this room, our family included, he was a mentor, a teacher, a coach, an author, a partner, an activist, and a loyal friend. My sister and I relished in his wisdom and sense of humor. I know he openly shared these gifts with so many of you, and he surely impacted your lives in many of the same ways that he impacted my sister and I, and later his grandchildren, through both his actions and his words. He was kind and compassionate in both his work and his life, and truly embodied the words of Torah, tzedek, tzedek tirdof. Justice, justice shall you pursue. We saw it every weekday morning when he headed downtown at 7:30, and nearly every evening after dinner as he sat down at the computer, thoughtfully writing and researching his case decisions in pursuit of fairness and righteousness. I had the privilege of watching my dad preside over his courtroom on a few occasions. From my layman's eyes, he was kind but firm, extremely logical, offering concise and understandable explanations. While keeping it light and pounding a gentle gavel, he was steadfastly confident in his rulings and businesslike in his demeanor. It was clear to all who ran the courtroom what the expectations were and that there were consequences for failing to meet his standards. But on this one particular day in court, in the midst of my father's typical courtroom cadence, I suddenly heard a voice from him that I thought had been reserved solely for my sister and myself on a few occasions. No, it wasn't anger or frustration, although Debbie and I certainly prompted those sentiments from him on more than one occasion. And if I'm being honest, probably me more than her. But my dad's tone in court that day was riddled with sadness and disappointment. It was a voice of someone who had extended grace to someone else, only to be let down by their failure to receive it. It was the voice of someone who felt defeated after offering a worthwhile opportunity, only to see the recipient fail to seize it. I don't recall if the individual in the courtroom that day had violated their probation or failed a drug test after committing to rehabilitation or done something else to let down my father. But I will never forget the sound of my dad's voice in that moment. It conveyed something to me that I have never forgotten. He genuinely cared for these strangers in his courtroom the same way that he cared for us. He wanted to provide support where he could give it. He wanted to empower people to make better choices and improve themselves as a result of time spent in his courtroom. From his early days representing Native Americans after graduating from law school to his nearly 2 decades on the bench in Branch 15, it is clear to me that my dad's hallmark at work was not merely his intellectual prowess or the power of his pen. It was the size of his heart and his ability to give love. And so it was with us. My mom, my sister, and me. Always, all of the time. He gave amazing hugs. He offered the best life advice and occasional legal counsel when we needed it as we got older. He was always quick to play games and do puzzles with us when we were kids, and we loved watching him continue these traditions with his grandchildren during his retirement. He was our cheerleader and our coach from when we were kids through our adult successes, always present and always proud. But perhaps my favorite trait, and the one that I will miss more than anything, is that my dad was always ready to drop a clever, often hilarious one-liner with a sparkle in his eye. His sense of humor was one of his greatest gifts, and I know he shared it openly with all. We could not have asked for a better husband, father, grandfather, role model, mentor, teacher, travel guide, and source of comic relief to lead our team. He loved us with his whole being and was as devoted and loyal as any man could be to my mom, my sister, myself, and our respective families. My mom and dad have both modeled the Jewish ideal of tikkun olam, or repairing the world, throughout their 53 years together. Our families will strive to continue his work, as my dad made sure it was embedded in who we are, who we chose to marry, and how we are raising our children. He was a best friend to me, and this hurts in a way that I never could have imagined. But he knew it was his time, and he died peacefully with his wife and children at his side, as he wanted. We should all be so fortunate. When we are done mourning, we will find joy in the things that brought him joy, and invite you all to do the same. Call someone in your family to catch up. Tune into some Wisconsin sports. I might add that the Brewers are on a tear this season. At the end of my dad's 2 weeks in the hospital, when we knew he was going to hospice and the end was near, I told him that I was going to be really pissed if the Brewers made it to the World Series and he missed it. He thought that was very funny. We had a good smile and a laugh through the tears. That's as Stuart as you can be, right? I mean, at the very end, he continued to smile. So tune into a ball game, find a quiet moment to listen to some good music. Doo-wop and Motown are recommended the next few days. Fix yourself a brandy old-fashioned, Corbel is preferable, and raise a glass to my dad, the Honorable Stuart A. Schwartz. We will miss him dearly, but find comfort in the legacy that he left behind. May his memory be a blessing. Thank you.
This time we get the honor of inviting for Jacob and Benjamin, Levi and Judah to offer one of Stuart's favorite poems.
The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth.
Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same.
And both that morning equally lay, and leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back.
I shall be telling with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that made all the difference.
In the rising of the sun, we remember. In the blow. I'm gonna start it over, sorry. In the rising of the sun, we remember. In the blowing of the wind, we remember. In the opening of buds, we remember. In the blueness of the sky, we remember. In the rustling of the leaves, we remember. And the year starts as it ends, we remember. We remember. When we're weary and we need strength, we remember. When we're lost and sick at heart, we remember. When we've joys we yearn to share, we remember. We remember. So long as we live, they too shall live. They are now a part of us. They are now a part of us. They are now a part of us. As we remember, we remember, we remember.
Join with me. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we will remember him. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we will remember him. In the opening of buds and the rebirth of spring, we will remember him. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we will remember him. In the rustling of the leaves and the beauty of autumn, we will remember him. At the beginning of the year and when it ends, we will remember him. When we are weary and in need of strength, we will remember him. When we are lost and sick at heart, we will remember him. When we have joys we yearn to share, we will remember him. When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we will remember him. When we have achievements that are based on his, we will remember him. So long as we live, he too shall live, for he is now a part of us as we remember him. Immediately following the service, we're going to proceed to the cemetery at Forest Hills. I'll ask that we allow the immediate family to go to their cars right away so we can begin the processional. If you're joining us, please follow with the processional. And then there's many opportunities for gathering and sharing stories, either back here immediately after the burial for a meal of condolence, and then tonight also here in the adult lounge, a Shiva Minyan at 7 o'clock. I was really taken with the words that Debbie and Jeff offered about their father. And I was taken what, Jeff, you said at the end about how we can continue your dad's legacy, Stuart's legacy. Too often, I think, in life, something comes into our mind, a memory, or you're watching the ball game, or you meet somebody in the street, or you're driving the car, you're walking the dog, and something pops into your head, and you think, oh, Stuart would like that. And then we let it go out of our head, and we don't do anything with that. I think the challenge that you offered, you and your sister offered, which is so beautiful, is when that moment strikes you, is to pick up the phone, or to write a letter, or to send an email, reach out to Darlene, reach out to a friend and say, this made me think of Stuart, and to not let that moment sort of slip by, to really embrace that, and to keep his legacy along with us. And if you're able, I invite you to rise. We'll take a moment of pause before the words of El Maleh Rachamim.
Zohar harakia mazchirim at nishmat Zaman ben Shaul v'berta shechalechach shehalach le'alamo bar harachamim Yastirehu beseder kanafaf le'alamim Beitzror hachayim et nishmato Adonai hu nachlakto v'yanuach Bishalom al mishkavo v'nomar amen.
Amen. Birth is a beginning and death a destination, and life is a journey from childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength or from strength to weakness and often back again, from health to sickness and we pray to health again, from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, from grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until not looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high point along the way, but in having made the journey step by step, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning, and death a destination, and life is a journey. We'll offer the final memorial poems in the words of the mourner's Kaddish at the gravesite. But we invite forward Jeff again to offer us and lead us in an important song from the depth of the Jewish tradition. It's on the inside of your program.
My family and I labored briefly over how to close the ceremony, and my dad would have wanted a celebration of life. He was a huge music fan, as are we, and Wonderful World by Sam Cooke was one of his favorites. I'm not confident I will make it through this by myself, so I invite you all please to join and sing so my dad could hear. Don't know much about history, don't know much biology, don't know much about a science book, don't know much about the French I took, but I do know that I love you, and I know that if you love me too, what a wonderful world this would be. Don't know much about geography, don't know much trigonometry, don't know much about algebra, don't know what a slide rule is for, but I do know 1 and 1 is 2. And if this one could be with you, what a wonderful world this would be. Now, I don't claim to be an A student, but I'm trying to be. For maybe by being an A student, baby, I can win your love for me. Don't know much about history, don't know much biology, don't know much about a science book, don't know much about the French I took, but I do know that I love you, and I know that if you love me too, what a wonderful world this would be. La ta 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 ta. La ta 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 ta. Yeah, but I know that I love you, and I know that if you love me too, what a wonderful world this would be.
What a wonderful world. Zecher Sadik Livracha. May the memory of a good person, a good friend, a good father, a good grandfather always be for a blessing. Invite our funeral home forward, and the immediate family will follow the members of the funeral home. Thank you all very much.